Hello everyone. So today's topic is how our branch survived recession. So there are a lot of organizations which are going through tough times currently, and this is a question that comes to my mind a lot of times, or people even send me emails asking when I address the topic of recession that happened in 2008, 2009, people send me messages asking, how did you survive? How did your organization survive the recession of 2008? What kind of measures did you people actually take to make sure that the business stayed afloat? And did you guys retain all your employees, or you laid off or made them redundant? Because there was a whole lot of people were made redundant during that time. So there was a lot of manpower floating in the market. There was a lot of human assets and human capital coming out of the organizations without a job to look forward to. So people who were monitoring the market during those times, like the 2008 2009 era, would know like what happened and how things went out of control suddenly overnight. It was not a gradual happening. The things happened overnight. The market went poof. The real estate market especially went poof. It was one of the most booming sectors during that time, and suddenly overnight it just goes completely frozen. So it was a big shock for everybody who were in business at that time, and people, it came as a shock, and people didn't know, or nobody had any established strategies to handle these kind of situations. So looking back, and nowadays when people are going through tough situations in businesses, they ask these questions: how did these people survive the recession, when especially it came as such a shock to everybody? So as I mentioned, there is no hard and core strategies as to how to handle these situations, and especially we didn't have time. As I mentioned, it happened overnight. Suddenly the market is like got frozen, and we didn't know how to do, and we didn't have the luxury of time to think and execute some excellent strategies to ensure that things were in place. No, we didn't have enough time to maintain. And moreover, when we look back, 60 percentage of a business was coming from the real estate sector. So suddenly the 60 percentage we had to focus on to other sectors. So that's the first thing that we did. Okay, now the real estate market is hit. So let's focus on the non-real estate market. So immediately we shifted our focus from the real estate sector to the non-real estate sector. So at that time, the businesses which were happening were in the infrastructure, energy engineering. A lot of business was going on. Power sector was granting a couple of projects everywhere across the world. Power sector was restructuring into solar energy. So there were a lot of projects happening in the power sector. So we could diversify into the power sector. We were focusing on the infrastructure developments. Then we got a couple of projects were awarded in the engineering. Even we went ahead and sought business from the education sector as well, retail. So immediately we had to ensure that this 60 percentage, if not even if we are not able to focus on the 60 percentage, at least a 40 to 50 percentage we were able to leverage from the non-real estate sectors, then the business made sure that it stayed afloat, without much impact on our overall returns. So that was the first point that we did, and that was to switch the sectors from real estate to non-real estate. And the second point was basically, there were, as I mentioned, there were a lot of people being laid off from their organization. So there were a lot of people coming into the market being jobless. So when there's a lot of inflow of people into the market, suddenly they used to contact us saying that, see, our contracts are not getting renewed, so if you have got any good opportunities, please place us. So there are a lot of people calling us or sending us emails and messaging us asking us for opportunities. So we were lucky enough to place at least a majority or a large group of these people into other sectors. So that is one of the focus we could focus and implement. Is one of the plans is that switching the people from one firm to the other, and we could communicate to this organization saying that please leverage them a little more time. If they had a notice of 30 days, we made sure that the employees were able to give a 90 days notice or a 60 days notice, so they had enough time to transfer themselves to a different firm. So this was the second point that we try to implement with a lot of people coming into the market, ensuring that they switched from one firm to a different firm without much hurdle. So we had to do a lot of communication with the current organizations and the prospect organizations to ensure that these people movement happened quickly and without any hurdle. So this was the second point. So first one was switching the sectors, one real estate to non-real estate sector. The second point was switching firms from one firm to a different firm. The third one was switching markets. Definitely the certain cities, certain countries and certain markets were hit much more than other markets. Like when we talk about the cities and countries which were hit more, the cities which were heavily dependent upon real estate developments, or the cities which had what do I say, granted or were projecting a lot of their economics on the real estate sector, were hit to a larger extent compared to cities which were focusing on whether manufacturing, textile industries, or even agriculture, or IT. Those the cities which were focused on other industries or other sectors were not hit as much as the cities whose economics were focused on real estate. So what we did was to switch our market focus from the real estate focused cities to the non-real estate. Like example, IT was still on par. IT was really doing good business, so we focused our businesses on IT sector. Then again, agriculture was booming at that time. There were a lot of innovations happening in the agriculture sector. There were not only innovations, implementations, and a large scale manufacturing was going on, industries related to agriculture. So we could focus on that kind of industries. So we ensured that our business stayed afloat without much difficulty. It doesn't mean that things were so simple or easy just because when I'm saying or explaining, it may sound very simple or easy. It was not easy. It was not a cakewalk at all. It took a lot of effort and a lot of time on our parts to ensure that all our employees were retained. We made sure that there were no salary cuts. There were not an employee went home without a job. We ensured that we retained all our employees and our businesses, and we could survive the recession to a great extent. So I hope, again, these are individual scenarios, specific sectors, a specific organization. Your situation may be different. I'm sharing this here so it can be an inspiration, or you can get an idea or two out of these kind of explanations. So I hope these are helpful to whoever is whosoever's organization is going through a struggling situation, or is finding difficulties in finding a ground to sustain the business. So make sure that things works out for you, and this, I hope you get some idea out of the points that I've shared here. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate your comments and ideas. Thank you so much. Bye bye.